Well, we have with us the president of Sri Lanka Rugby, Mr. Lasitha Gunaratne, who is just joined us after a very important annual general meeting for Sri Lanka Rugby for 2019. Mr. Gunaratne, are you happy the way the proceedings went and the completion of the meeting?
Yes, I'm very happy to have this AGM today.
Any changes so that helps you to go forward with all the preparations you have made in the last year as well? I think that's a good thing in a way, isn't it?
Yes, with the new constitution of Sri Lankan Rugby, and we have 2 terms and 2 years for each term. This is the first year that we had this AGM. Actually, this was AGM was held for 2018. Unfortunately, that we couldn't have this AGM before May due to delay in Auditor General's report.
Overall, there was discussions regarding, of course, the budgets and the allocations and the financials and sponsorships, etc. Deficit as well. So, where do you think you will be able to improve on that in the coming years, or how are you going to sort of cut short, and what are the action plans you'll have to control the budget, etc., for Sri Lanka Rugby in the coming year?
It is very simple that we have our sponsors, Dialogue Asiata PLC. With that sponsorship, we can manage our national team and our domestic rugby league and our administration. The issue that comes because we have to get involved in the other areas, especially the school or junior rugby tours, as well as the women's rugby. Now, women's rugby, of course, it's difficult to find sponsors because there's not much women's rugby happening in this country. But with the SAGT coming forward to sponsor women's rugby, we are managing that area. But unfortunately, the school rugby, the junior national teams, we had to fund it from our own money. For last 3 years, we have spent 35 million from our national team rugby budget. Because if we try to continue this very soon, the whole union will be collapsed. But as I think everyone knows that there's a huge market for school rugby. We have telling the school administrators that to negotiate with the sponsors when they're negotiating for the years, that they should include our junior national tours and the development, junior schools development into their sponsorship. And this was happening so every year. We talk, discuss, they promise and go back, but nothing will happen. That's what I told you. For last 3 years, we have spent 35 million from our budget. And today's meeting, I got a mandate from the House to be strong and tell and take a decision. The school rugby sponsorship should come or negotiated through the Sri Lankan Rugby Union. It is not that we are trying to get by force taking anything, but we have to work together closely and negotiate with the sponsors, because our input for negotiation will definitely help school association to negotiate a better deal for the school rugby.
Coming back into women's rugby, have you seen it grow in the last few years, or has women's rugby in general stagnated, Mr. Gunaratne, or do you see any potential for the future, how the women's rugby game can grow in Sri Lanka?
I don't. I think still we need to improve that area, because thanks to the 3 forces, the women's rugby is continuing well. But in women's rugby, we have a chance of winning a medal in Asian Games. And also that I am proposing through Asian Rugby to include rugby for the staff games, which I am sure next staff game they will include rugby. If we start winning medals, say starting with SAF games, Asian games, then the people, the women's or girls will come and join to play rugby. Otherwise, because of the culture in Sri Lanka, they believe or they think that rugby is not the women's, for the girls and for the women's. But we have to change that. We are, with the difficulties, we are trying to introduce rugby to the girls' schools. We hope that we can achieve that, at least get one or two new schools taking part in this tournament. We just concluded under 18 girls tournament. I think I saw for my own eyes there's a good talent, and also good strong girls are taking part. That's a good sign. Still, we have to show the girls there is a bigger picture, bigger area that they can look forward, because if a medal in South Asian Games and Asian Games, that's a target they should have. With that, I'm sure it can be improved.
So definitely some good news for women rugby players, the young up-and-coming girls who are interested in this sport. The men's game over the last year, how have you seen it, especially at the international standard? Were you disappointed with the performances, and how would you like to see the men's game grow in the coming year?
I think our men's sevens team, if we want to win a medal in Asian Games, we have to start from now. If we are targeting 22 Asian Games, we should have a separate squad, professionally run or train for this tournament, target for this tournament. For that, I think rugby union alone can't get involved. I think sports ministry and the NOC also should support us to set up a separate squad for sevens team, and I'm sure that we can get a medal next Asian Games.
Yes, finally, Mr. Gunaratne, for the upcoming year, where do you want to see Sri Lanka Rugby off the field and on the field? What would you like to see as a president Sri Lanka Rugby achieve?
I think performance-wise, I think we should try to reach the top in Asian ranking, and competition-wise, it should be interest for the spectators. Then we should see more people come to the grounds and watch and support the players. And I think, of course, school rugby, there is a crowd, but we have to discipline the players, and maybe we have to implement strict rules and regulation. Discipline will as players' safety. I'm sure that next year, where I am heading this Sri Lankan rugby, I will make sure these things have been implemented.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lasitha Gunaratne, for joining us for a brief moment after the annual general meeting of Sri Lanka Rugby. Thank you once again.
Thank you.